Well, hello everybody. Sorry, it's long hours, long days, and I had to move camps. We all had to move camps, and I just got settled in tonight. So it's a lot on a shutdown to do, but we're getting through it. I'm getting through it. But I want to touch. There's a lot of things I have to do, and I haven't done, but there's a whole bunch that I want to answer, and people who've messaged me things to look at, and there's other things I need to go into in constitutionalism. But I want to hit a major one that is terrifying to me. And I had a lady from Texas. I have a few Texans, I have a few Americans on my Facebook, not a whole lot. I have a few, and every now and then they reach out to me, so I always take notice because they're kind of different alerts. And this one is a new movie called Ranger 1. It's about a Texas Ranger. It's a fictitious movie of terrorists, largely Republican terrorists of unsound minds in constitutional monarchies throughout the Commonwealth who get together as terrorists, as they're narrated terrorists, and are going to cause trouble for the U.S. and specifically London. It goes on throughout the movie to make Texas look small and trivial to the UK, the mighty UK. Well, folks, everything about the movie, and then the Americans that brought this to my attention, this one woman in particular, I don't have her permission to use her name yet. We'll see after I make this video. We'll see what she says. But John Malkovich, Thomas Jane, the actor, and he's a Republican, real into gun rights, but it's interesting, this propaganda movie, and it's done by Jesse Johnson, who's a UK director, makes movies hardcore into the whole crown colonial system. I believe it's the superiority concept of the UK, and it's seen throughout this movie. And I watched it. I watched it last night. I stayed up late, and it was troubling, and it was really fearful for me. And I think anyone looking at breaking away in the Commonwealth, going as your own republic, this is definitely an attack movie by Hollywood Democrats and what I call Rhino Republicans. Thomas Jane, he's a big gun rights advocate, didn't like Donald Trump. And you know what? I did like Donald Trump. I didn't like where he went in the end, and I don't like the complaining now. I don't see it productive for the Republicans. I didn't like his midterm turnout, and I think the Republicans have a long way to go, and that scares me, not because I don't like Republicans. I just don't like where the party's going with its leadership right now, and that scares me. It bothers me. I don't want to see Joe Biden go forward. I don't. After this election, I want him to be gone. I want him to be done. I want the Democrats to be done. Their damage is heavy. It's swift. We have world altercations everywhere, and they can say Republicans are dangerous or warmongers. Donald Trump, say what you want about him, folks. There was no wars in Donald Trump's time. In fact, conflicts went down. America's economy went up. And I don't see that now. I see a recession. I see a terrible, terrible time ahead. And you can say, oh, well, we need to transition, Green New Deal, blah, blah, blah. Not on taxpayer subsidies. That smells like colonialism. That smells like monarchical systems. That smells like the pyramid scheme. The inequality, at least not quality of equality. It's more like quantity, meaning the rich get a whole bunch of quantity at the expense of the lower tier, the working taxpayer. And that's exactly what we're seeing with the Democrats. And I've always looked at a lot of people say they're communists. Well, it doesn't sit well with me. It never did. And Canada's an exploded Democrat Party from the U.S. And what I mean by that is our liberals exploit that kind of mentality to the full maximum. Everybody says, oh, it's communism. It's communism. Well, it's not really communism, folks. the idea of quantity, setting quantities for all at levels is there, tertiary levels, in a pyramid scheme. It's always the working people at the bottom who got to pay for the wealth of those above. The big celebrations for Elon Musk, everything else, but the man generates all his tremendous wealth from the taxpayer subsidies. SpaceX, 80% subsidized by taxpayers in the United States of America. His electric cars, folks, $7,500 subsidy to buy his car, meaning it isn't $32,000, it's $40,000. See what I'm saying here? That's socialism, a version of socialism, a forced market, a forced pay for a product to switch to a product that you couldn't afford. So we're going to borrow against the children of tomorrow, right? We're going to add more debt, which the Democrats want to expand and balloon their debt even more. Governments keep doing this. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. And somebody has to pay it. It's always the people at the bottom. And this is what's happening to the United States. In this movie, well, I talk about this Ranger 1, and I watched it. I gave a video. Not a lot of Canadians thought it was popular. It's kind of funny. It found a lot of Americans, and it's kind of funny. My quiet little American side of my following was all chirping in and showing me things. In this movie by Jesse Johnson, in the UK, it's all action-packed and heavy guns and heavy terrorism from those who wish to become Republicans inside constitutional monarchies. And they radicalize them. They're all gun crazy. And it takes a Texas Ranger to go to London to teach this guy a lesson. And he's nutty. He's a terrorist. And he's threatening London. And he's going to do bad things. And they get into the Irish. They get into all these countries. Of course, Russia's in it too. And bad, 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 right? It's all evil. And you know, UK's great and wonderful. And UK's so much better than Texas, folks. Texas is a massive population. It's just under the population of Canada. This is like Florida and Texas. Texas is even more populated than Florida, but Texas is almost as populous as Canada. UK is 66 million people. Texas is nearly half the size. Just the state of Texas. It's not a piddly pissant little state, and that's what the movie tried to narrate. And you know, I haven't been through all of Texas, and I certainly haven't been to London. I was invited to go, but after I watched this movie, folks, I think it was wise I didn't go. It's good that I didn't go to that Edmonton, London, and I don't think I'll be going there, if anything, for a very long time. I don't trust the United Kingdom. I don't like, and he's a staunch Democrat. He was a total anti-Nixon, pro-Democrat at the time, and they hated everything about Nixon. Of course, Watergate, they just couldn't wait to wrap their hands around it. Now I see that it's those Hollywood Democrats that really like the idea of this elite status of a divine human being, because I think a lot of these actors and directors and producers in Hollywood and their fictional reality, their star-studded world and reality and money, and they think that they're better than everybody, that they somehow know more about life, and they're special and they're great actors and they know everything about everything, but yet they don't get it right. They're all fictions. Like, I got enough of Texas and Texans themselves just in a week, and I went to all kinds of places. I went out in the streets between Houston all the way to Austin, and I mean right through their downtown cores out. I got to see the people as they are. It's true that's the most African Americans I've ever seen in my life, the most Latino people I've ever seen in my life. Obviously the Spanish side, the Mexicans, South and Central Americans. It's a border crossing. I mean, I've seen all of that, interacted with people over 4 days. You can say, wow, you weren't there long enough to really get an idea of it. But, you know, I got to see it every night that I went out from my days, and I got to see the people, interact with the people. Lots of African Americans I interacted with. One cab ride, 4 hours all the way to Austin because of the canceled flight. And what I saw that movie, that's portrayal of Texans, is not what I saw there. And I mean, I was in the heart of Texas through their academics and through all the people in Austin itself and many different walks. I went out all over the place. Felt like Alberta to me. So unless they're going to say, well, Albertans are all hillbilly, talking funny weirdos too, I guess maybe that's what they would say, but I easily blended in Texas and people couldn't really tell. I mean, the food is identical to Alberta food. I mean, we have a big beef industry, big into the cattle, the farming, so it's easy to blend the two-step in the culture. And then even beyond that, like I said, with the African American culture, the Latino culture, I didn't find any of these cultures scary or different or completely obscene. And I just felt that movie and the way they portray guns, like somehow terrorists have these fully 50 cal machine guns, and the UK needs their police and military and MI6 to be decked out when none of the people have any guns. None of the people in the United Kingdom have any real guns. None at all. And they want to do that here in Canada. And I know the Democrats want to do that in the States. Why? Disarm all the people subject to their authority, their overpowered, heavy-handed authority. That movie made me sick to my stomach, and just the way they portray people wanting to form a republic and have a we the people constitution. And it was sick to see them drag Texas down at that level. I was very disappointed in Thomas Jane. To me now, he's just a rhino actor, bullshitter. That's what I think. And for Americans watching, that's what it is. So that was disheartening, and that's really scary. If anyone gets a chance, I don't really want to promote the movie because it's deathly against people like myself and anyone in movements like mine where it makes us look like monsters. And of course, I can see that. I can see a director, and I can see the UK government and the Crown putting money, funding money, just like CBC. They have the BBC, and they have other telefilm that's UK too. So I can see that money getting dumped in here in a programming, so to speak. And, I hope Texans aren't watching that thinking that, this is what they got to watch out for, is monarchical countries trying to become republics, a we the people system. And I would think Texans are smarter than that for sure. All the Texans I met, just average folks, were pretty well endowed mentally. I found faculty was there and people understand and they're not stupid. But that kind of propaganda really scares me. It's terrifying, really, to see that. And folks, if you get a chance, look at that movie. I mean, I don't want to see people watching it so it gets even more views, but it's disheartening and disturbing, right? Like somehow we're radical terrorists, communist lovers, and they said communism, there's no property rights, so what we're presenting is absolute property rights. Just like America, 94.5% of America is private property, whereas Canada's 9%, 2.2 times less than communist China. So, UK can say whatever they want. Little tiny island state with a population twice that of Texas, which makes it pathetic. If you ask me, one of 50 states and your population's only twice that of Texas, but you make Texas look like some little fart knocker state. That's really what it was. And I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy how they monstered, anyone in any kind of monarchy that wants to break away from the UK and make UK look like they're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Pathetic, more grandiose sense of fictions, gross, disgusting, and it bothers me. It really bothered me, the whole movie. So I thank those Americans who shared that and wanted to talk about that. I did watch it, and if I get your permission, yeah, I will mention you in a video and thank you. Now more folks. I don't know if you all know, but Canada's crown, which was redesigned in 1957, we used to have the absolute United Kingdom crown in all of our police, military, and all of it up until 1956. Why? Because King George VI passed in 52, and laws and legislation post that, it was a transfer to the political parties. And of course, 4-year terms, we saw a change of government. Conservatives, they changed the crown, made a Canadian crown for all of our emblems, logos, and all of our shields. You can see it in a lot of provinces. You can definitely see it in our coat of arms for Canada, and our military, our justice system, courts, you can see it. Now we have a new one that's not religious orientated. It's the Canadian crown that now has maple leaves and snowflakes. Snowflakes. That's the new crown. Now, the National Post saying, that's Trudeau's crown. No, it's the federal government's crown. It's been absolutely there since 1957. We can look at the Conservative Prime Minister who changed it to Canada's crown. Why? Because King George VI died. The 4-year term of the Liberals ended. Conservatives took it. They changed it. Now Trudeau changes again. Either way, folks, just like the Jay Treaty, a UK binding treaty that the United States is bound with UK and all American Indians, which used to be bound to all the First Peoples of Canada, got ripped up. So Canadian First Peoples get to enjoy the Jay Treaty when they cross the Canadian border to the United States. You didn't need shots if you were a first person with a treaty card or some status card. If you were Inuit and you had the Inter-Circumferential Polar Council identification, or Métis in a treaty card, if you had that numbered card and you go across to the States, you didn't need a passport, you didn't need any COVID shots. America wouldn't make you. And if anyone wants to know, I have tons of First Nation friends from across Canada who went through all of COVID back and forth across the border. And Ian Bachman, who goes all the time, has never ever once had to ever show a vaccine passport through all of COVID. He never had to. All he's ever shown is his treaty card. He doesn't even need a passport to enjoy the States. Why? Because the old UK-USA Jay Treaty, the oldest treaty, is still in place. Who threw it away in Canada? The Canadian government did in 1956. Liberals and conservatives. Liberal conservatives of the day, folks, and Liberal Party, they did. They threw it away. Why? Because Canada has its own crown. This was the law in 1945. It's what all our ancestors fought and gave their lives for in World War II. It's not disputable. You can't find any Canadian lawyer, justice, or any expert in history to narrate anything else. Because if you go to any of the allies from World War II, doesn't matter, go to USA, go find an academic expert. They'll say, no, it's sovereignty of the state, the UN state. UK's not allowed to run your country. Nope. No country is allowed to run any UN state. It's sovereignty of each state. Some states give their sovereignty to their people. A lot of states do. Not constitutional monarchies. There's no such thing as any sovereignty for any of the people because they're all subjects of a crown. Canada's had its own crown absolutely since 1957. 1956, Jade Treaty ripped up, meaning no First Peoples outside of Canada can ever enter Canada without being assimilated, meaning get a passport, filthy savage. We don't accept you. We only have savages here. If you want to be a savage here, you're going to have to immigrate here through assimilation. That's Canada. Nobody else. Your Canadian government, your Canadian crown. You can even go back at the death of King George VI, and you'll find the year before he died, as he was reworking Canada, he removed entirely all UK crown positions, meaning there were no more UK citizens appointed by the crown of the UK. King George VI ended it forever. Why did he do that? Because he made a promise to the entire world, but specifically the allies of World War II. It was called 1941, the Atlantic Charter. Not Joe Biden and Boris Johnson's 2021 Atlantic Charter, the 1941 Atlantic Charter, a military alliance and promise to the entire world. That's how USA came to fight for UK. After France had fallen, UK was next on Germany's list. They were losing. They were going to lose. Russia as well, too, said, okay, we'll help you. That's why they signed the Yalta Conference, a military alliance, in 1942. Same promise. Anyone can look at this as real history. Joe Biden ripped up the 1941 military alliance, so Russia said, okay, if that's how it is, boom, into Ukraine. No more sovereignty for states. You want to rip it up? Then we're going to rip up ours too. And that's what happened. Nobody wants to talk about this. It is absolutely Joe Biden, President Joe Biden's fault, as well as Boris Johnson, who is just another prime minister who folded over and somebody else comes forward. No real elections. They've been doing this over and over now for quite a bit of time. And when you don't have scheduled elections, folks, you don't have democracy. It's one of the very few real, true democratic rights. The people, the subjects, and the defined savages of constitutional monarchies, you only get a couple real, true rights that they're supposedly not to take away from you. One, the right to vote at a scheduled election, or two, run in your own political party as a candidate in a scheduled election. So when they take away scheduled elections, look out, you're in a lot of trouble. And that's been the UK now. I think it's their fourth time in a row. Unscheduled. Sick, sad, sorry, and wrong. It's wrong. And this is reality that people need to know. We have a Canadian crown. We've had our own Canadian crown federally, and all 10 provinces have their own provincial crown. There's a whole definition that comes with that. Constitutionally, it's there forever and a day, a set of powers for the provinces. We get liars who come forward who could constitute all your powers, which is a tremendous amount of rights and freedoms for all the people of Canada, for the territories and the provinces. In fact, there's more rights and freedoms and powers of could be you the people in the provinces, given to the provinces since 1867, codified, than there ever were federally. Federally, it's 92. But provincially, it's 91 federally, but provincially it's 92 to 144, a huge amount of things there. Big, big list. But they don't want you to have another premiers. They like the autocratic federal system, the federal big crown that disperses an autocratic crown to all of them, and they choose. And they make stuff up. People get angry. A lot of conservatives get angry with me and how I view Danielle Smith. Well, I've read my Constitution. I have the world's greatest legal minds. A mass amount of Republicans, real ones, that you don't call a rhino, and they'll tell you the exact same things I'm telling you. You're being bamboozled. I enjoyed one fella's post from the States on trusts and how constitutional monarchies work, how they have these conglomerate of trusts where all the politicians are inside these trusts, and it's a name of every industry, and the country's not making money in the industry. The people are, you're lucky if you got a good job in that, but it's not for everybody, and we're not making any money in these different sectors. But yet all those elites in those trust groups, those elite citizens, those high pyramid status citizens are making boatloads. It was funny, COVID-19 and the manufacturing of Moderna and Pfizer and things on the Canada side and what was purchased, who made all the money, and then you look at the shareholders of the manufacturer in Indonesia, and they're all preferred shareholders. There's no voting, there's no buying shares. You couldn't even invest in the company because it's a private group. Justin Trudeau in there, Pierre Poilievre in there on a medical side, a whole bunch of people, but it's all through their groups, their friends, right? Pile of conservatives, liberals, some NDP folks. It's sick. And they're in this group, and there's no voting on shares, there's no public. It's just $8.2 billion that went out to these groups. Are all attached to our politicians in some way or shape or form, even in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and that's Canadian too, Canadian viral experts, and they're in there like dirty shirts, and they got ties to all your politicians, and they're tied in with the companies on the board, but of course there's no public share sales or voting rights, if you could even get into that. It's not there. And this is what people don't understand, the corporate communism. And it was for nothing but totally taxpayer subsidized, which we couldn't pay, so they borrowed against us, and they took all the profits, and none of us got any of it, except for a big fat bill, like we always get, in everything, from one end of Canada to the other. It's never the people who benefit. None of the people. Why? Because we're not we the people. We're subject to and savages of. That's how Canada defines everybody. That's how all constitutional monarchies work. The mass amounts of pain and punishment throughout the Commonwealth and all over, even in the UK, to all those who wouldn't support the coronation or who wouldn't finance or get involved in it. It's funny how much backlash they all got. And this recent release, I'm going to go back to that movie, Ranger One, it just shows. Can you imagine a world where the government has all the firepower and you, the people, don't have any? Well, that's what happened in the entire history of the UK, as it was British Empire to UK, and the people never had any guns, and they'd have to try and do all kinds of outrageous things to get them and get in bed with all kinds of players. I don't want that in Canada. I don't even want to deal with having to fight the government tooth and nail on the physical realm. I'd like to do it politically, folks, but again, I don't want a world where we're all arm-barred and the government's got full autos every which way. We're already in Canada dealing with massive surveillance, at least in Alberta. And it amazes me that people don't see a problem with that. Cameras at every light, every intersection, surveil from every town. Like, I can't believe it. And people don't see a problem with that? Well, I do. And I've been around, and I'm going to keep traveling and keep getting around, and I'm very worried, yes, indeed, about the states and where they're going with the Democrats, because I see them as embracing that monarchical system, that idea of a pyramid scheme, and I think Republicans are seeing it too, and it's what they had to battle for independence, and I think that they're realizing that that is coming full circle again, and it's really hard when the media is pushing the bullshit, when the Hollywood is making movies to try and emphasize it, teach young people who don't go to libraries, don't go and do real research, aren't going to be watching videos like mine. They're going to be watching TV, high action, Hollywood, and that's what they're going to believe things to be. And it's like, is that what they're going to do? Take a bunch of people like us who are on a higher plane of reality and bringing real truth and, fighting these lies and these evils of a system that's so corrupt, so old, and turn us into the monsters? It looks like that's what they're trying to do. So that's my video. There's more to do. I still have to do pigs at the trough. I know I do. It's tough. It's a heavy schedule I'm on. And now I'm traveling further to work. So we'll see, folks. I might be kind of hit and miss here. It's, it's a tough schedule. But I got to make the money because I have a lot of trips to do. I have to get to BC and have much to do. I have to get to the wet sweat. And, things aren't free in life. And that's just... You got to pay to play, and I'm a working guy, so that's how it works. Love you all. Have a great night, and I hope you all get a lot from this. Share it. Get it out there. I know for Canadians it's not popular, these subjects. It's more popular with Americans. I just don't have the major American following, but they sure gravitated to the last video. It's kind of funny. My usual people, it's kind of like, oh, I don't know about that. I know conservatives don't like to hear it. And it's really what it is looking at the conservatives and saying, listen, we know the liberals are this, we know the NDP are that, but there's still hope for you. Like, look at it as it really is. Look at socialism and equality as it really is. Start looking at Webster's instead of just Oxford Fed. And you know what? I'm going to tell you, when I was in the property rights panel in Alberta, that looks like been thrown in the garbage like so many other things for Alberta that were promised, all garbaged by Danielle Smith. And of course, because she's a liberal conservative, and I've told people that they don't want to hear, she's great, she's wonderful. You're going to find out. As bad as Jason Kenney was, she's worse. And you're all going to find out. Like, even on this emergency order, I'm from Parkland, lived in Parkland County my entire life. And all that money thrown at people, oh, this much for that, that's all of the taxpayers too. And I mean, I'm not begrudging people. I'm not. I get it. It's an emergency. But nothing's free. Nothing is free. And it's funny how people just believe, well, it's conservative, it's conservative. It's not in Canada. It's Crown. Crown, Crown, Crown. We just watched a new design of the Canadian Crown. A Canadian Crown that was redesigned for Canada alone in 1957. A standalone crown. They hide behind the British family, the British veto in the UNSC to continue their crown colonialism. Who else did that? South Africa did in apartheid. Canadians get the least amount for their resources than any other country in the world. Over and over, as I go through all the industries in Canada and not just be pigeonholed into Alberta. And I've gone into so many industries. I'm on Saskatchewan now, but from Ontario, Manitoba, all the territories, the Atlantic, what I've learned. Obviously, I know Alberta, a lot of Saskatchewan, but there's other southern mining industries and rare earth metals I'm going through. We're seeing British Columbia and the take, and the literal abuse of the Canadian people and all the First Peoples. It's horrific. It's large. It's off the charts. It's off the charts. Every single industry. Pathetic. That's my video. Share. Get it out there. I will do more. I know I'm behind in a lot, and maybe I won't get them all done before my daughter's grad. I'll try, but it's tough. Heavy hours and long days. Bye now, everybody.